Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. In my most recent video I collected some urban yamadori, and as I was clearing out the honeysuckle I spotted this. So I removed it. It's been sitting in some water and today's the time to do something with it, and I've got an interesting plan. It's got a very basic straight trunk. It looks healthy, there's not much happening, but I really quite like these roots. I think they're really interesting and they spread out nicely, and it got me thinking, and I could only think one thing, and that one thing is root over rock. I know the accepted rock for a root over rock is one with lots of cracks and crevices to run the roots down, but I like to break convention, and I just love the shape of this piece. It's got some wonderful reds, the colours there are gorgeous. I love the sort of triangular nature of it, and I think this could work really well if I can somehow combine this with this. I watched a really interesting video a few weeks ago by Yele, Growing Bonsai by Yele, and he made an interesting point, and although he subscribes to the craggy rock idea, which is great, a good point he made was you don't put a tree on the top. And this is something I've done in the past. I put the tree right on the top there, and I kind of agree with him. It looks daft sat right up there. Aesthetically, it's just more pleasing if it's a bit further down the side of a rock and the apex of the rock is higher than the base of the tree. So I'm going to try and incorporate that into this composition, and it's now just a question of deciding where I actually put this tree. So this is an option where it is now. I quite like that. I suspect this is going to have to be removed. I don't think that will work, but I like the way these roots sort of spread out along the side there. That does work. Perhaps this ridge is a bit of a knife edge of a ridge though, and I might be better on something like this and somehow manipulating the tree. Oh, there. That works well, and I like the way these two roots can be pulled over this side like that. That could work. And it's sort of hanging on to the edge of that rock there. So that's better than that first edge. Or is this the spot here? That's kind of nice. I quite like that. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, it's between this corner and this corner, and I think this corner, because this slopes a bit more gradually, this one does work a little better, and it'll just be a bit more of a natural fit for the tree. And how cool will that look there with all those roots exposed? Fantastic. So I need to cut up some cotton now. So I've decided where I want it, which is there. Or, I mean, I could even... No, I think I want it on the ridge there. It has to sit on that ridge for it to work. Yeah, so now I'll cut some cotton up. If you're anything like me, you watch loads of bonsai content on YouTube, and another good tip that I got, and I think this was, I can't recall exactly, I think this was off Xavier Martinez, Expressions of Grace Bonsai, and he suggested that when you're doing root over rock plantings, you should use a biodegradable material. Raffia would be ideal, but what I don't want to use is, I'm not going to use my normal vet tape, because that's, I presume it's some kind of plastic, and it won't rot away, it won't disappear in time. So I decided to cut up one of my best 100% cotton towels. I get new towels just appearing in my bathroom. I think my mum or my sister buy them or whatever, I don't know. But this is one that must have been relegated because it was sat in the wardrobe. So anything like this is fair game. and it's just a question of cutting some strips, and then I'll be using these strips to tie the roots into place. As I say, ideally I'd have some raffia, but I don't have any, and I want to do it now. That tree's been out of the ground for a couple of days now. Not quite a couple of days, a day and a half, but it's time to get it in some soil. And although honeysuckles are really tough plants, you know, the sooner I can get it in, the better. So that's 2 strips, 2 nice strips. I can put those around, tie them in place. I think that should work, so let's have a go. So I'll get this back into its position, which I think is something around there. I like that. I think that works well. Yeah. That's on there, solid. There. So once we've got that solid on there, I think I want to use one of these ties to just wrap around the trunk and kind of somehow lash that into position. I don't know if this is a technique that will work. But I'll have a go. There. No, that didn't work. That was a massive failure. Right. So we've got the position of the tree roughly sorted, which is about there. I like this one coming down this corner, these roots coming round over the edge. But this branch here, that just is not going to make it, so I'll get rid of that root. That's gone. And it isn't going to be easy, this, holding this in this position. Definitely going to be a challenge. And how I'm going to achieve this, I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm going to go with my vet tape. I remember watching Peter Warren do a root over rock, and he spent ages just almost playing with it and getting used to these roots and where they sit, and almost finding a natural place for it like this. And eventually this just seems to be the spot. There, these 2 roots come over the edge. This one runs down that corner. Oh, that could even come over there like that. Yes, I like that. I think that's going to work. And from there, I go with a vet tape. Just going to cut a nice long piece of this tape off to start with. So I know I said I prefer cotton, but it's so complicated putting this together. I just don't think I'm going to be able to get the good tight fix with the cotton. And so by using the vet tape, there, it just sits really nicely, that. I think I can pinch that in place using my left hand there. I can pull these roots over where I want them like that. It's not easy, this is quite challenging, but this is the kind of bonsai that I love. There, round we go. I know I'm covering the camera a bit here, but I need to really, if I can, get this nice and tight and well held in position. There we go, out with that one, back round with this, and that already now is beginning to hold this in place nicely. So we're beginning to get there. I can come up here. Now I've got a branch coming upwards, which I'd like. I think this branch at the top will end up dying. So I'm not too bothered about that. I'll just leave that be. And possibly, I need to get this whole root there down. And if I can get this nice and tight over the top there, that's it. That works well. That's pretty secure, that. That is pretty secure. I'm just wondering whether I could do with getting something down behind this. Because there is a bit of a gap. And now I wish I'd cut a longer piece of tape, but not to worry. I can just tie these together. Like that. Now that I've got the basic position of the tree in place. Very difficult because there are no crags for me to sort of wrap the roots into, for it to grip on. So it's always going to be a challenge getting this to hold in place. I understand that, but I like that kind of challenge. So I think I'll come around one more time there. Round we come. And if I switch it, oh, there. That just slid up a little bit there, that's okay. And I'll come once round again, around that main trunk there. And back around. And now it's a question of somehow attaching this. So if I wrap this piece nice and tight, fully wrapped, so that's going nowhere, and then from here perhaps I can create a loop in the wire like that. Which this can be tied to. So the vet tape's now attached to that wire. And once the wire's in place, I can fix this wire like that. The wire's much easier to sort of attach, or it should be. I can just wrap it round there under that rock, and that's held. Nice job. What do you think? Obviously this is all going to have to be cut off, but the basics of the tree are held in place. I've got this root at the top there, and that's going to die, so I may as well cut that off straight away. I'll show you that. It's just coming right up here at the top. It's never going to live, so that can go. My next decision is, this is nice and tight. There's no roots around there, obviously. This is where we've got roots. The majority of the roots are in here, but the feeder roots on the bottom are visible, but we do have a gap behind there, and I'm wondering if I can stuff some moss in there to help protect those roots. We've got a bag of sphagnum moss, and I can just take some of this out and hopefully just kind of took a bit of it down there with a chopstick. Thinking about it in hindsight, what I could have done is I could have put some moss over the root before I applied this tape. That would have been really clever, but I didn't think of that. So part of me almost tempted to take this off, apply the moss, and then reapply it. I know it's a bit more work, but this is the right thing to do, and I'm not, I don't want to be lazy. When there's a better way to do it, I'm going to do it the better way. So I'm just going to unwind all that work. So the piece is back off. I'm going to do the same thing, find that same spot that I really liked. Now that this is off, what I can do though, this is a small advantage I suppose of having to redo it, is I can cleanly remove those little roots that we're never going to survive. Now I just need to find that spot again, which I think's there. Well, you see, I found a new spot. There's a little indentation there of rock. I don't know if you can pick that up on camera. If the camera picks up, there's a little indentation, and it sits in there. I can sit it in that little indentation. That works nicely. So yeah, it's a little lower down than I had previously. I had it sort of there, but I think sitting in that indentation holds it in place nicely. So now I've got that happening, my new plan is to just put some moss over the top of these roots like that. Take my vet tape, that comes around there. So if I position these roots in place where I want them, and put some moss also over these like that, hopefully now, it's this first pull that's the tricky one. If I can that's nice and tight there, and then lovely and tight across there. That's full power. So that's good. That's better now. Round we come. That's kind of locked now. A nice tight attachment. Lovely. This one can come up higher and pull the main trunk into the tree, which is what I want. And again, I'm going to put some moss around that to help me force the trunk down like that. There we go. Lovely. That's working really well. Now if I can get this round over that this main section here now, this has to be a nice tight one there. Lovely. this last one can come up, down like that, and then I'll reattach that wire, able to just be tied on like I did last time. When I first got into bonsai, I wasn't necessarily thinking that this would be the kind of thing I'm making, but now that that's down there nice and tight like that, I'm thinking if I just come round with the wire like that, that should hold it nicely in place. I've got one of my concrete pots here, and I want to decide how much soil I need on the bottom, because I want to add some moss to it. So I think that'll be plenty to go underneath the rock. And so to that, what I'll do is I'll take a nice handful of moss and then just kind of tear that moss up a bit and sort of mix it in amongst that soil. And this will give the roots extra chance. I think you can do something like grate it with some kind of grater or something to get it finer, but that'll do the job there. They'll be nice and happy in this tree. And all I'll do now is place the rock there, lay those roots down into that moss and that soil, cover them with a bit of moss so those roots should love it down there, and then just fill it up like that with bonsai soil. I'll finish off with some, that's just a mixture of pine bark and grit that'll insulate it all there over the winter. Oh, there we go, that's another root over rock planting. I'm really excited about this kind of bonsai. It's a bit different from the norm, but I think that's got bags of potential. If those roots go and make it and sort of grow around that rock, I can look at putting some movement into the trunk, hopefully next summer, and just see how this progresses over the next couple of years. But exciting stuff as always. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.